But not just any egg fried rice. It's the Yangzhou version from the undisputed goat of Chinese cooking, Chef Wang, or as the internet knows him as Uncle Wang. Unfortunately, our first step is going to start with the machine. We're using short grain rice, which means you have to rinse the starch very thoroughly so it doesn't clump up together. To cook the rice to its perfect moisture, I just use the guiding line inside the pot. They're there for a reason. And I know some of you might say, just use finger. But you already know I don't trust my fingers with moisture related tasks. Once the machine's done all the work for us, we'll dump, spread, cover, and then into the fridge till it's completely cooled while we gather the rest of the ingredients. So with this grocery list in mind, I arrived at the market in Chinatown where my full faith in sanitation lies. And the Chinese lady at the store, aka the wisest person I'll ever meet in my life, taught me a lot about the usage of these dry seafood, like how these dried scallops are the secret to a umami packed stock, and that sea cucumbers are expensive as hell, and every single one of them takes about 7 days to prepare. Thankfully, the fish butcher hooked me up with these pre-prepped, ready-to-use frozen sea cucumbers. Once $73 of cash is out of our pocket, it's time to count down the ingredients. So we got cured southern Chinese ham, a bag of dried scallops, some unpeeled green peas, which is gonna take over my afternoon, frozen sea cucumbers, and a whole fresh bamboo shoot. These are basically bamboo fetuses. It looks like it's got mold on it, but my stomach is used to it. Dried shiitake, radioactive chicken, and some frozen shrimp. And last but not least, the most important part, the wivels. I know you're surprised at the fact that I have all the ingredients required, so let's jump right into it. To get the most annoying task out of the way, I'm gonna start by peeling these green peas. And I begin to suspect that I might have gotten the wrong vegetable because they seem to be too small. So I put them away, went back to the grocery store, opened one just to double check I got the correct species of vegetables, only to come back and realize that I got the same thing twice. And from now on, there's no more time to waste. After 45 minutes of hard work, I finally got enough peas to feed a pigeon. Then we'll take the lean part of the ham and dice into small pieces. Next, we'll deal with this moldy bamboo shoot. I've never worked with this before, so I'm gonna check out a video from Uncle Wang. 本期视频我跟大家分享一道家常菜，竹鼠烧竹笋。There were some graphic images in that video, so I'm not gonna show it. Basically, you just want to take out the hard part like you're sharpening a pencil. Once you get to the tender part, you just dice it up like any other vegetable. We're also gonna dice up some sea cucumbers. Its shape is just as phallic as regular cucumbers. It's only much wigglier. Our first step is to remove the intestines inside, or as a professional would call it, scraping the shit out of it. Cut into strips, then dice into cubes. Soak shiitake and dried scallops in boiling water for about 25 minutes. Shred the scallops into thin strings, kinda feels like pulled pork, and cut the mushrooms into small cubes. Kinda feels like raw chicken. Speaking of raw chicken, we're gonna debone our radioactive chicken legs and then poach it. Once they're fully cooked, we'll also cut them into really small cubes. Oh, I forgot to mention that I cut up some shrimp and poached them as well. Now that we have all our ingredients ready, I realized that I've never been this organized in my life. And like every good video, we gotta attack it from different angles. And my favorite category happens to be POV. Nice job, team. Now it's time for the most difficult part of this recipe, preparing the egg floss. We're using 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks. Beat it thoroughly with my Ligma fork and then pass it through a sieve to achieve that silky texture. Right before we move on to the stove, let's just get our green onions ready. Now it's time to make the eggs. I'm not confident that I will be able to make it, so we'll follow Chef Wang step by step.
首先，我们把锅烧热，锅烧热之后加入小宽油，油温烧至90度之后，开始缓缓地下入蛋液。
So once the oil starts bubbling a little bit, we'll touch it with our finger. You'll know it's hot enough when you hear this.
同学们切记，蛋液必须形成一根细丝下锅，否则下太快很容易变成蛋花，而非蛋丝。
So one hand stirs and the other hand pours out the egg as thin as possible. The eggs all clumped up together and became the most oily scrambled ever. I would start over, but I only have the energy to deep fry once a day, so let's just carry on. The stir frying process is very high heat and fast, so we gotta keep all our ingredients ready to use. We'll follow Chef Wang's exact sequence of addition. Once the oil is hot enough, in with the ham, and then shredded scallops, diced shiitake, chicken thighs, sea cucumber, bamboo shoot, and shrimp. Stir a few times to activate the fragrance before adding in our eggs. Once the eggs are broken into smaller pieces, in goes rice and the green peas. Stir to unclump the rice, followed by the first round of green onions. And just like me, after about 30 seconds, it's ready for the second round. Now we'll season the rice with some salt and soy sauce, stir that to combine thoroughly. And unlike me, the spring onion is able to go for a third round. Now we'll turn off the heat, toss that quickly one last time, and ready to serve. I'm gonna have my Instagram followers judge it before Uncle Roger does.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back.
It looks pretty far from the original. Let's give it a taste and see what we can improve on. Well, I think the most obvious one is the egg floss. In Chef Wang's video, he managed to get it into perfect little strings. It looks thin as hair and light as air. On the other hand, my eggs just look like normal stir-fried eggs, with too much oil put into it. And another problem is that I wasn't able to get all the rice separate, and there are a few clumped up pieces like this. So we're gonna get a good night's sleep, wake up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and do a redemption. New day, new me. After a whole night of thinking, I came up with two solutions. To fix the clumping of the rice and also get that wok hei, we're just gonna go buy a wok. There are so many options to choose from, and the most basic one will be the carbon steel wok. I'm definitely not gonna choose this one because you need to season it. I want my tools to save me time, not require extra effort. And this one is just the same thing with an extra layer of non-stick coating, which doesn't handle high heat. And this one is made of iron. It has a higher durability and heat retention, but is not very beginner friendly. And this one over here is non-stick and has a flattened bottom, basically a deep saucepan, something that Jamie Oliver will use. You can tell by the Italian flag right here. Yeah! And finally, we have the fancy one. This one is stainless steel, non-stick with a web coating on the inside. Not only is it easy to use, but it also provides the most even heating. Gordon Ramsay's been trying to rub these in our faces for the past 2 years, but at least this one is only half the price. And I guarantee you they're made in the same Chinese factory, they just have different labels on. Still, that's a lot of money for a wok. Only entitled douchebags will get these. Now that we have a wok, hopefully our rice will be separated and we can taste the wok hei. This is so beautiful. Maybe this is what it's like to be a
pansexual.
After we gather 2 whole eggs and 4 egg yolks, we'll beat it thoroughly with our ligma fork and move on to solution number 2. My mom's pour over kettle. This will help us control the egg stream and make sure it's extremely thin. Now that we have everything ready, it's time to start our redemption chapter. Now that the egg is done, let's move on to stir frying. Hot pan, oil in, and the sequence goes like this: ham, scallop, mushroom, chicken, sea cucumber, bamboo shoot, and shrimp. Toss that around, and then egg in. Toss to separate, add the rice and peas. Tossing, scallion, tossing, soy sauce, tossing, more scallion, some MSG, final toss, and serve. From the looks of it, this is much better than my last attempt. Every single grain of rice is separate and fluffy, and the egg is finally thin as hair and light as air. I'm gonna be murdered tomorrow for putting eggs in a kettle, so this better be worth it. So I'm gonna whip out my ligma fork, taste it, and rate it 1 through 10.
Damn.
I put a lot of effort into it, so I'm gonna exaggerate a lot, so take it with a grain of MSG. There are in total 13 ingredients in this dish, and each one of them is playing their part perfectly. The ham, scallop, and green onions give off this addicting aroma after stir frying. And there are so many levels of umami flavors offered by the shrimp, chicken, and shiitake. But the highlight of this dish is definitely its diversity in texture. There's some crunchiness from the bamboo shoot and the peas. The sea cucumber becomes like a savory jelly. The rice is dry and separated, almost bouncing between your teeth. But the most impressive part is definitely the egg floss. They're soft, tender, and almost melt in your mouth. The texture reminds me of a really well cooked chicken. Who knew eggs have the potential to be like chickens? If you have time, tag or send this video to Uncle Roger so he can review the dish for us. Thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers. It's great to see our community is growing so fast. I can't wait for our journey in the future together. Alright, thank you.